So I was inside my camper and I heard this kind of police sound. It went rip, rip, like that. It's like when a policeman wants to, start his siren, but he doesn't want to really start it all the way, so he just starts a little bit, rip, rip. And so I looked out my window, and there were, there was a park ranger truck, and then had the blue and red lights blinking on the top, and it was parked right behind of an 18-wheeler. I thought, what is an 18-wheeler doing in a national recreation area? So anyway, I could kind of overhear what was going on, and they were talking back and forth, and I pretty much figured the guy was going to get a ticket. I didn't know what the laws were or whatever. So I waited till the ranger left, and here comes these two guys walking towards the water. They each got this big camera in their hand. Photography enthusiasts, who would have known. So one was older and one was younger. So I thought I'd go over and ask them, what the story was on that. And so I did. And apparently it's illegal to have a commercial vehicle in a national recreation area or a national park. I didn't know that. Apparently it is. And they got a $250 fine for it. But anyway, so I stopped the guys and, I was asking them about it. And I asked them if I could look inside the camper, because I'm always curious to know what the quarters look like that you can stay in. So they let me do that. And they talked to me for a while, and really entertaining to hear about. I asked the younger guy, I said, so you all have to be together all the time, don't you get on each other's nerves? He said, yeah. Definitely so. And I asked him how much they got paid. I mean, I know that's kind of sounds like a personal question, but, they didn't seem like they would bother. And it's like, yeah, we get 75 cents a mile, and they pay, and the company pays for everything. He says, so when we turn this in, we've gone 3,000 miles. So when we turn this truck back in, they will take 3,000 times 75 cents, divide it in two, give us a check and 1099 form, and we're done. I was like, man, that sounds kind of, simple, So it wasn't as bad as I guess it could be, with some jobs, but they were really interested in talking to me. Apparently, one of the older guy told me that not very many people want to talk to truckers. Apparently people avoid truckers. They don't want to talk to truckers. I didn't know that. So they're always, thrilled to be able to talk to other people. We got ready to leave. They let me in to film their quarters, which is very small. And they told me about all the laws, and there were just all kinds of laws that you can get into trouble. Like, for example, going under a bridge that's not of a certain height, even if you don't have a wreck, that's like a $10,000 fine or something like that. And picking up people, hitchhikers, all kinds of prohibitions and things they have to observe, driving too long and so forth. So after a few minutes, I could tell they needed to go, and I was getting ready to leave too. And so I was like, well, let me, why don't you get in the truck and crank it up, and let me, hear the engine running, and I'll just film it, and that'll be a nice little segment for my, my video channel. So the guy misunderstood me, and he thought that I was saying that I wanted to see the engine. So they went to all this trouble of like opening the engine, cranking it up, letting me film it, telling me about the engine. And I just thought that was just kind of funny, but I didn't say anything. I didn't say, I don't care about your engine. I was just trying to be nice about it. And I was like, okay, well, thank you, So that was just kind of funny. So I decided to leave Lake Havasu City. It was beginning to get a little bit warm. And one of the things I like to do with the drone is I like to find these mountain peaks that have something at the top. One time I found a mountain peak that had a cactus at the top, and there have been a couple of times I've found them where they have a flag at the top. So there was one more mountain peak I wanted to fly the drone up on, and this one had a yellow flag blowing in the wind. So I did that as my last activity in Lake Havasu City. And then the next morning, I started heading north on Route 66. And it is a beautiful scenic route. It's a very long route, but it goes through some really beautiful areas, a lot of mountainous areas, you know, especially now it's the spring, so you have the flowers and you have the winds blowing and just the smell of the spring. It's really beautiful. The mountains in the background, as you can see, really nice. One thing I notice about being out west is that you notice a lot of things that you don't normally see. I guess I'm going to say back east, you know, but just like, for example, when I first got here, I came upon this big disc. It looked like a big disc out in the middle of nowhere, and come to find out it was a radar unit used by air traffic controllers. Isn't that amazing? So it just kind of had a little humming sound to it, like the whole time. And it had a sign up saying that, you know, disturbing it could lead to human loss of life. You know, obviously people in the air. So I went a little bit further and I started approaching the city that I wanted to stop at, which is Oatman. And I looked on the right and there were these rocks stacked in a certain way. Obviously it wasn't just natural stacking. A human had done it. And took a look at those and they were painted rocks. And I really like to find things like that because, and I'd never disturb them because these are just little gems, you know, you find as you're going along the way. It's kind of like that hobby my cousin Cindy has called geocaching, where you use a GPS unit and you find these little treasures, you know, in different spots all over the world. So it's kind of a neat thing. So I saw that and I eventually made it to my campsite, and my campsite is just basically an intersection where two roads merge into one. I picked it because it was just a few miles away from my destination from Oatman, but also because it was beside of mountains and because I noticed some burros in the area. Those are wild donkeys. So I noticed some of those in the area. So I thought, you know, I'll camp out here and maybe I'll run into one of those. See my new toy? It's a Honda Valkyrie. Anyway, obviously it's not mine. It's somebody who left the motorcycle and a trailer out here on BLM land. I don't know where. I guess they just needed somewhere to park it while they went somewhere. So I came over to take a look at it and to dream. So I thought I'd show it to you. So I decided to leave Lake Havasu City. I had been there long enough and it was starting to get a little bit. So I decided to leave. I can't talk. So I decided to leave Lake Havasu City. It started getting a little bit too dark. Okay. All right, folks. Thanks for watching. Take care.